The right to an abortion and birth control has been a topical issue for the past few decades. Abortion officially became decriminalized in the early 1970s after the Supreme Court decision of the Roe v. Wade case. We have returned back to this issue because of the current attempts to overturn this decision and to turn to the conservative mindset that abortions should no longer be legal.
In the 1960s, as the civil rights and anti-war movements emerged and gained popularity, women began to gain the courage to fight for their rights along with gender equality. This meant that women's reproductive rights were a top priority. Women, alongside some sympathizing men, fought and protested to make abortions safe and legal throughout the nation.
According to the Guttmacher Institute, in the 1950s and 60s, the estimated number of illegal abortions ranged from 200,000 to 1.2 million. More wealthy women had the opportunity to leave the country or have better and safer abortions that were costly, but most of the average American woman had to have these procedures done in unsanitary and dangerous conditions. In the late 60s, concerned pastors and rabbis set up the clergy consultation service on abortion to help women find safe, illegal procedures.
To combat these illegal and unsafe abortion procedures, women began to become vocal about the issue and sought to gain the right to choose. With the belief that abortion should be a basic human right, women put full efforts into obtaining safe procedures. The gravity of this situation showcases women's fight for rights and a shift from an ideal man's world. For the first time, women shed light on the dangerous and illegal abortions that they were willing to get to stand up to the law and make a change.
In an attempt to turn to action, the New York Abortion Speak Out in 1969 occurred. A group of radical feminists known as the Red Stockings discussed illegal abortions, and women spoke up about their personal experiences. Typically, only men had spoken on the topic of abortions, but this event led to more speakouts across the nation and more conversations about reproductive rights. This congregation inspired discussion about such an important topic and helped push the right for women's rights even further. These speakouts brought awareness and eventually inspired the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court case, which took place only a few years later.
Roe v. Wade was the official decision on the legality of abortion. The court ruled that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment in the U.S. Constitution provided a fundamental right to privacy and provides a pregnant woman with the choice whether to have an abortion or not. Posing as the first step of legal action towards women's rights, Roe v. Wade inspired a national ongoing debate that continues today about whether and to what extent abortion should be legal.
In 1992, the first attempt to overturn the Roe v. Wade decision occurred with the Planned Parenthood v. Casey case in Pennsylvania. This case tried to say Roe was unconstitutional, but the court ruled that the Pennsylvania Abortion Control Act was unconstitutional and sided with Roe once again. This attempt to overrule Roe v. Wade is very prevalent to today in relation to the abortion rights decided in Alabama.
Today, abortions have become affordable and available to many American women. While there have been attempts to restrict abortions through many presidencies, abortions have sustained legal and accessible, especially due to programs such as Planned Parenthood.
With the recent switch from a Democratic to Republican president, an increased effort has been made to restrict abortions. Recent bills have surfaced known as the Heartbeat Bill, which bans abortions as soon as a heartbeat can be detected. This can be as early as 6 weeks, which is sometimes before women are even aware of their pregnancy. North Dakota passed the first bill in 2013, and many states in the past year have begun to pass this bill, such as Kentucky, Iowa, Mississippi, Ohio, and Georgia.
During Donald Trump's campaign, he promised to reduce reproductive rights through policies and resolutions. With a larger Republican influence, many believe these laws can be passed. Trump has nominated people with his same conservative views for positions of power.
This cause has especially gained momentum in the state of Alabama within the past few weeks with a new ban on abortion. The signed bill by Governor Kay Ivey has banned abortion in practically every circumstance, with no restrictions to incest, rape, or non-consensual intercourse. This has become the most restrictive abortion law in the country. It is especially disheartening due to all the progress made in the past few decades now being reversed. Once again, the conservative part of our nation is threatening to ban abortions across the U.S. and take away such an essential right.
If these laws expand across the nation, women will have to revert back to unsafe and illegal abortions, and all the process made throughout the past decades will be undone. Women will now be going back to a time where they lack their reproductive rights and the ability to have control over their own bodies. This issue of abortions proves history to be repeating itself once again and taking steps backwards in women's rights.